Hi there, it's Charles Kelly, Money Tips. Look, I know we're living in challenging times at the moment. Every day you pick up the paper and there's a company gone under, or like it was an airline at the weekend, and before that it was the battery place in the northeast that are struggling at the moment. So it is challenging times, and many people at the moment are living in fear. I don't know if that you. Are you worried about your job? Are you worried about your future? If so, listen on, because perhaps I can help you. But if there's a saying that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And the definition of doing the same thing and expecting a different result is the sign of madness, as I think it was Einstein who said. So what I'm doing, before I go on, I wanted to, at the end, I'll tell you about a webinar that I'm running this Wednesday evening. It's a free webinar, so please join me if you can, and please like and share if you like this sort of stuff that I put out. But look, I want to give you right now 6 quick tips to help you thrive in a recession. Now, some of these are going to sound a bit obvious, but it's already obvious. I've heard that before, but are you following it through and doing it? So let's start quickly, get straight in with the 6 tips. Now, the first one is to cut costs, of course. Cut costs, reduce expenses, but how? I mean, you can do this by reviewing all of your bills, reviewing your bank statements, reviewing your credit card statements. This is part of my SMART course, actually. R is for review, S-M-A-R-T. R is for the review. And you'd be amazed if you just start reviewing things and pull out your credit card bill and say, what's this recurring payment? What's this? What's that? In fact, 2 million people have cancelled video subscriptions in the UK alone. Now, goodness knows what it is in America. I know that Netflix were losing millions of subscriptions. So that shows you that they're feeling the pinch, but that also shows you that they are reviewing their expenses. Check your direct debits, your standing orders, and all of these sorts of things. So that's the first one. You can also negotiate bill. You can renegotiate your bills. You can ring up your power company and say, look, I can't afford this $300 or $400 a month you're deducting from me. I want to do something about it. Don't just sit there and let them walk all over you, as it were, and just do what they like. Cutting unnecessary spending, that means just a way of life, really. Do you go out every day and buy lunch? Could you take lunch with you? Do you go out every day and buy 2 cups of coffee in Starbucks? Well, could you do something about that? Could you save yourself £5, £6, £10 a day on that type of thing? £50 a week, that's a couple of £1,000 a year. That could be used for what I want to tell you about in a second, which is reducing debt. But it also means changing your mindset towards spending, and just changing the way you are. Become a bit of I wouldn't say a cheapskate, but become somebody who's a bit more thrifty, if you like, and watches things, and perhaps uses one of those price scanning devices to check the price of everything before you buy it, rather than just going out and buying it from anywhere. But shopping around, shopping in the right shops, shopping in the Lidls and the Aldis rather than the Waitrose and the Marks and Spencers. That alone will just save you an absolute fortune. Let me tell you. And then finding more alternative, finding more affordable alternatives. So perhaps your favourite brands that you buy. Maybe look for the cheaper brands. There was a BBC programme about food that I was watching recently. It's on quite regularly, where they get people to switch from their favourite jam or cornflakes to other brands, and they actually blind test them, and they don't know the difference. But when you add it all up, it can save them something like £40 or £50 a week on their shopping bill, which is thousands of pounds a year. Okay, number 2 then is to diversify income streams. And this means, it sounds a bit posh, in income streams, but it could just mean as simple as getting a side job, getting a Saturday job, doing an evening job. My parents used to do the same thing. When times were tough, I've done it as well. Many migrants have 3 jobs when they come into the country, maybe even 4. But consider taking on a side job or starting a side business hustle, maybe something online, maybe something physical. If you're looking at online, there's a wealth of things you can do online. On Amazon, Spotify, there's a wealth of things you can do to perhaps train people online, to coach people online. But even if you look at the simple things offline, someone I interviewed recently on my podcast started a car washing business, a car valeting business, and he's making a fortune from that. Other guys I know that have given up their office jobs, they like doing a bit of gardening. There's always people who need gardens done. There's always people, what's the saying? Rich people seem to be frightened of leaves. There's always people who need little odd jobs done. There's a guy I know that does odd jobs for people, and he's so booked up that nobody will give you his number because they're guarding him for himself. And he only works about 3 or 4 days a week. He's semi-retired, potters around, making money, all cash. And believe me, you just can't book this guy. He won't do any more work. He won't take it on. He'll put you on a waiting list before he can see you. So that doesn't have to be something like fancy, like using technology. It can be very, very simple things that you could do to earn a bit of extra cash. Number 3 then is to build up an emergency fund. Now this sounds obvious again, but you need to have a cushion. You need to have some sort of savings to give you financial stability during tough times. I think times could get tougher this year. So that means having a bit of money there so that you don't have to rely on payday lenders. You know, you see these ads on telly where a lady's come out with 2 children and he said, oh, my shirt's dirty. He goes, oh, sorry, I couldn't get the washing machine fixed. And then this bubble appears and said, I can lend you the money. I can get your washing machine fixed right away. Oh, can you? That would be lovely. So the long and the short of it, they give her £300 to fix the washing machine, and she's happy, and the kids have got nice new shirts, clean shirts. But that loan is probably costing her an annual percentage of income of 40 to 50%. And the payday loans are even worse, pay as you go and all these sorts of things. So if you have an emergency fund, then you don't need to resort to these, what I would call loan sharks. Now, number 4 is to invest in your skills and development. Warren Buffett said the biggest investment, the best investment you can make is in yourself. So that means updating your skills, learning new ones, and learning things that can increase your job security and provide you with more earnings potential. You know, during tough times when companies have to let people go, they don't let people go that become almost indispensable to the company. They don't let people go who've updated their skills, that can perhaps do different things, like having a player in a football team that can play in defence, he can play in midfield, he can play up front on the wing. You know, these diverse type of players that can do any position on the field. So, but investing in skills is very important now in these times when there are so many jobs being taken over by artificial intelligence, by new technology, and just by companies being in trouble. So the idea that you could stay in one job doing the same thing for 40 years is really just gone now, isn't it? So you have to learn new skills and be more adaptable, because it's not the strongest that survive, it's the most adaptable species that survived, and that's why certain species become extinct, but like the dinosaurs. But humans and monkeys and dogs, they've been very adaptable. A dog can survive in the frozen north, it can survive in the hot country, it can survive as a pet, as a guard dog, as a guide dog. It can do almost anything, a dog. It can always adapt to situations, and so that's what you've got to be. It's someone who's adaptable, but learning new skills all the time, and that means attending seminars, reading, listening to podcasts, getting yourself an Audible account. I know I said cut down on your subscriptions, but it's only £6 or £7 a month, and then listen to audiobooks on the way to work instead of the radio. So that's investing in your skills. It doesn't mean you have to remortgage the house to do this. A lot of courses can be very, very cheap or even free. There's a webinar I've got this week, Wednesday 8 p.m. on Wednesday, actually is actually free. So you can learn there how to manage your money and update your skills there. So the next one then is to focus on debt repayment. I've already touched on debt, very dangerous debt. But try and pay off your debt as soon as possible. I interviewed a guy last week, Adam Carroll, talking about clearing off his debt and becoming financially free. You've got to do the same thing. Focus on a plan to get rid of that high interest debt. Like look at the credit cards and which one are charging the most. Some charge maybe 15 to 80%. Some could be charging 25, 30%, even higher than that. Overdrafts can charge 40%. So rather than paying off your mortgage, which might be, you might be paying 3 or 4%, look at the ones that you're paying a lot of interest on, high interest rates. I know it's a rip-off, but you just got to get rid of that. Otherwise, you'll be a slave to that debt for the rest of your life. So pay them off, and then you'll feel a lot better, and you'll increase and you'll save on, the interest payments are probably eating into your available income every month. So that will certainly help you there. Also, if you've got sort of £30,000 sitting in the bank earning zero, and then you've got £30,000 of debt where you're paying 18 to 20%, it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it, to try and clear that off. Now, I know that you need capital as a backup, but do you need so much money in the bank when you've got credit card debts that you could just pay off and save yourself hundreds of pounds a month in interest payments. Okay, so that's focus on debt repayment. Number 6 then is don't use credit card and debt for consumer goods. As Warren Buffett said, buying consumer goods on credit cards which cost 18% per annum is dumb. And that's why he owns credit card companies and banks, because there's a lot of people out there that will take those kind of loans. He uses good credit and good debt, and I use good debt for business and property purchases and that sort of thing. So I'm not saying that all debt is bad, and that's what I wrote about in my book, Borrow and Grow Rich, using other people's money. But using debt to buy, I don't know, trainers or clothes or big TVs that you can't really afford, but it's easy on a bit of plastic. That's not good money management. And now there's even more tricky credit card companies coming in, more deceiving credit, which is called buy now, pay later. When you're buying something, would you like to buy this later? Would you like to pay for this later? Not buy it later, that would be the sensible thing to do, but would you like to pay for this later? That comes out Klarna, that are really worrying debt charities, because the amount of debt people are in is going up substantially. And as I said, do that. Stop buying stuff that you can't afford on debt that you can't afford, and getting yourself into more trouble, and learn the difference between good debt and bad debt, the difference between the two. Okay, so now if you need more help than that, this is just a quick broadcast. As I said, I'm running my free training webinar this Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'm going to show you how to not only survive but thrive in the recession, get control of your finances and spending immediately, and I'll give you some tools to do that. Save and invest for the future, because if you don't invest and save, you'll never be able to retire, and learn more about money and finance and using that good debt and other people's money, as we've talked about. So please join me this Wednesday, 8 p.m. You have to register so that I can get your details and send you the link, but that's no problem. Just give you your email and name, and I'll sort that out for you. And I will hopefully see you there Wednesday, 8 p.m. for that great webinar to help you really get control of your finances and work towards becoming financially free. So if you're in that position, if you're worried about your money, if you're thinking, oh, what am I going to do for the future, you need to make those changes, then join me this week and I'll take you through that to maybe change your mindset, which is also important to get you on the road to financial freedom. I'll see you there Wednesday, 8 p.m. Click the link below in the description. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.